All right, and we're live. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Show, episode 89, with your host, Anchorman V2, ready to get things rolling tonight. We got a couple good topics on here. We have everybody's out dealing with their in-laws, apparently, so hey, that's how it's got to be sometimes. But guys, I would introduce Fame Entertainment as he complained last episode about not being introduced first like he used to, being Mr. Entitled. But instead, we're going to introduce the squad who could make it here tonight. First off, we have the Chief of Achievements, the one true King of the North, Undead 3XVI.
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Multiverse Show. Very excited for the list of topics that we've got to talk about tonight and whatever else we talk about, because we don't really have a huge panel to go around tonight. So it's pretty exciting.
And we'll get over it. This is why we hired this many people, guys. Just in case if half the show's gone, we still got a panel. So that was pretty much the entire point. Also, we have the Butcher of Blocka, the White Wolf, the Editor-in-Chief, Sammy Tolbert.
Hey, everybody. What's up? The crew who actually care to be here tonight have showed up, or those of us who don't have to deal with in-laws anyways. We've got a great show of topics planned for you. When I find out what those topics are, I'll get right back with you. So let's get moving.
Oh, man, this is going to be fun. All right, so we got a couple things we got to discuss today, but first up on the docket, what have you guys been playing today? We'll start with you, Undead. Mr. I'm on spring break. What you been playing?
Fascinating.
Kids?
Fascinating.
Kids? He's been playing kids?
Kids.
Where's he going?
And I sense, hold on, I'm getting a message here. I sense family problems. And the wife's demands even coming through. Yes, it's very clear now. It's very clear. All right, I want you all to bow your head and give a moment of respect and silence in memoriam for this man and everything he's put up with.
Oh, he's back. There he is.
He escaped.
The real Undead.
He's back.
Undead, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
What you been playing?
What have I been playing? A little bit of Sea of Thieves with you guys there the one night. PUBG, still trying to get that goddamn solo win. Goddamn top 3 7 times in a row now. And just a little bit of this and that. Not a whole lot. Getting really amped up for the next couple of weeks. Got a lot of games to play next couple of weeks.
Sounding good, dude. Sounding good.
Yes, sir.
1 sec. I gotta crack one open here.
Cracking one open on a Monday. What is this?
On a Monday.
Cracking one open, talking about the Kraken?
No. Wait, hopefully you guys can hear this. Pour one out for Mike and Fame.
What about James?
He'll be here. I got paid in him. All right, what you been playing, Sam? What you been playing, dude?
Much like Undead and yourself, I've been playing a ton of Sea of Thieves. Just been playing a lot of that, taking pictures, having fun, lots of tomfoolery and shenanigans. Working really, really hard on my official TICGN review. That'll be up sometime tomorrow. Somehow, some way, it'll be up. And I've also been playing a little bit of Quantum Break, working on something special there for the game's second year anniversary when it rolls around in April, and a little bit of Halo Wars 2.
All right. Sounds pretty good to me. All right, so for me personally, I've just been playing kind of a little bit of everything. A little bit of Overwatch, trying out Brigitte.
How is she, by the way?
I mean, it's kind of weird. Brigitte's more of... I just don't think she's really more of a support player. Like, they put her on support, and I'm like... I like the fact she's another melee character, and she gets in the thick of things. I really enjoy her, but I just do not think she's a support character. She's way too up close.
Why did we need another support character is the better question.
I don't know. It's getting to the point now it's kind of ridiculous. They have not added a single defense character the entire time. Like they keep adding offense, tanks.
she looks like she should be a defense character. When I saw that
Yes.
artwork, that amazing character design, by the way, it's one of Blizzard's best, and that's saying something because it's Blizzard. I thought, oh, cool, defense character. Neat.
I mean, the thing about defense characters in Overwatch, it's all about establishing routes and blocking people. Not necessarily from damage, but blocking movement. Like, if you put... Junkrat has a huge DPS capability, and so he's able to just throw out damage. And so it prevents people from going a certain direction because they don't want to risk that. Also, you have a situation like with Mei. When she throws up her ice wall, you're blocking people. And Hanzo can just throw down damage with those arrows. And if you have a good counter sniper, it's great. But that's the point of the defense characters. And Brigitte could have been the up-close and personal version of that. But it feels like it was a waste, honestly. But I think she's a good character. I think she's fun to play as, but she's definitely got to find her place into the meta, and people are still kind of working that out. So,
I don't know. I haven't been geeked on a new Overwatch character in a long time. I've not been fond of Moira.
Yeah.
Doomfist was utterly disappointing. I don't know.
Terrible.
Especially considering how ridiculously hyped he was.
Oh, that was only because everyone was hoping it was Terry Crews. That was the only reason.
I know.
If it was Terry Crews, it would have been a big deal. You know what would make people actually play that game, or sorry, play as Doomfist? Put a Black Panther skin on him.
Yeah, I could see it.
That would get people on it.
I think you'll see it in an upcoming event. It'll be a similar thing.
Yeah, something like that, or M'Baku. Either one would be dope.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, so I mean that's kind of. I played Sea of Thieves, as you guys know. Jump back on Fallout a little bit. Anything else I played? I think that about rounds it up. Honestly, I didn't really jump on too much. And a little PUBG. Right now, I'm fully into my. These are my reoccurring games kind of situation. These are the games I come back to on a regular basis, and I'm fully on that kind of mode right now. So, next big thing that we're doing, I think that's about wraps it up. So, real quick, let's talk about Far Cry 5. So, Undead, it's my understanding you are really into Far Cry 5.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm doing the review for the site, so it's kind of mandatory I'd be interested in it at the very least.
No, you need to hate it.
No, you don't.
You can't have any prior experience with the series. What am I doing?
You're supposed to go into it expecting.
Sorry.
You're supposed to go into it expecting it to be What Remains of Edith Finch, and if it's not anything like What Remains of Edith Finch, it's a failure.
I'm sorry. I hate first-person shooters.
For every political message you wanted to be there that isn't, but they never hinted towards, you have to remove 2 points.
Oh God. Oh no. No, I'm really interested in the game. There's a couple of different reasons I'm interested in the game. I know some people are driving some politics behind the game that's why they're interested in it and that kind of thing. I'm just really interested for a couple of things. The main protagonist or villain, if you will. I'm really interested in what he brings to the table. It looks like a really interesting take on cults. And I'm a huge fan of like cults and reading into that. So I'm really interested to see where they take that. I got the gold edition too, because the DLC packs they have coming for that are just too good to pass up.
Oh, plus, dude, they're awesome. I love what Ubisoft lets their teams do in terms of creating these weird little side experiences like Blood Dragon.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I'm really excited for those. And I don't know, I haven't played a Far Cry game since 3. I think I played a bit of Primal. My wife played Primal mainly. I remember I bought that for her. I didn't really get into it that much. But like, I haven't played a Far Cry game in quite a few years. So I'm interested to see how or if the series has progressed since 3. So it should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, Far Cry 4 was just pretty bad, honestly. Like, it came off as a throwaway game. It was like, hey, this is Far Cry 3, and we have some helicopters. And, we have honey badgers. Remember that was a big thing? And there you go. Like, it just... And I was talking to Sam about this when I was at lunch, and I was talking to him. I was like, I think the biggest issue I have with this is the drugs. Like, doing this. I don't even do drugs, but that's what I find so funny about it.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I'm not inspired to do these drugs in Far Cry anymore. Okay, like Far Cry 3, when you're doing shrooms, you have moments of clarity and you have moments where you get to see your past, and so it actually benefited the story because getting high had a purpose. But then Far Cry 4, there were just missions for you to go get high, and that was pretty much it. It was that's what annoyed me about it. There was no purpose to it. It was other than like, hey, Far Cry 3 had you getting high. Why can't you get high in Far Cry 4? And like, all the missions, there's just really stupid missions. Honestly, like you weren't getting anything out of it.
It wasn't like getting high and fighting a giant fire monster with a magical bow kind of levels of awesome then.
No, I don't remember anything good about it, honestly, about like doing any of that stuff. I think you had like moments where like you do little trips and you'd like end up at a location with like a memory from your mother, and it was like, okay, that's it. Like it didn't open anything up to you. And like Far Cry Primal is basically just Far Cry in name only. Like it's just we want to do something different.
I was like,
this is a bet.
Doing something different for saying, hey, let's just throw away all the standbys and just try to do something weird.
I feel like they wanted to do a caveman game, but they couldn't figure out how to make it appealing to people, so they put Far Cry in the front and said, "Oh, we'll make it primal." And it was an interesting game. Like I should go back and finish it because I started it and it was all right. Really, I felt it really leaned heavily on the like. How do I put this? Like Far Cry games don't have a huge amount of story. Like Far Cry 3 is the exception for having an insanely well done story campaign. But Far Cry Primal, it felt like it was cave people, so it kind of made sense. But I was like, Ugg tries to take your rock. Hit Ugg with that rock. I'm like, that's not an enticing campaign to me. And like there's like the legendary animal hunts, which I guess were kind of cool. And like I didn't feel like enthralled to finish the game. Like I kind of did like a couple of each of the like side things you could do and like some of the main stuff. I was like, yeah, I think I'm good on this game.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I personally, the game I want for Far Cry, like I'm going to play Far Cry 5. I'm going to do it. Don't get it twisted. I'm going to play it. I'll give you my impressions. But my general thought about it is I really want a frontier game. Like almost like The Revenant. Where and like I said this years ago about what I wanted Ubisoft to do. Like in order to how to reboot the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry franchises, where you put Assassin's Creed in a city, and you put Far Cry in the wilderness, and you try to alternate it as much as possible. And so what I really want to see is like, I don't know, like late 1700s, early 1800s, actually probably early 1800s, where you go off into everyone likes using Montana lately. Like I'm thinking more like maybe like Kansas or somewhere, but like way out, and we're not doing cowboys and stuff just yet. You're still running around with muskets and rifles, but it's very limited. Like guns are a big deal because they're insta kills, but they're very few and far between, and they take forever to reload. So like you have to go in there planning what you're going to do, and you could be like such a badass. And like Primal kind of gave you that, where like we're gonna strip you down just to to basics, and we're gonna find out what the Far Cry franchise is about now. But I want to see a frontier game as a result of this.
Yeah, like set along the northern border from Maine, you can include parts of Canada. That would be fantastic. Yeah, I would love it. It fits with the savage setting. Wolves, bears, the fur trade, and how brutal that was. I really like you referencing The Revenant. I think that'd be a fantastic type setting.
I think
and you could actually use the hunting to something beneficial, not just here's a little side economy.
Exactly.
I think my favorite thing I've seen from Far Cry 5 so far was someone trying to get a mission off an NPC, and then that NPC getting mauled viciously by a beaver. And then not being able to do said mission because the beaver killed the NPC, which would endlessly frustrate me. But at the same time, as a Canadian, there's something just so redeeming about someone getting mauled by a beaver.
Yeah, dude. It's going to be nuts.
But I will say,
I'm looking forward to playing it.
These overwhelmingly positive reviews, it wasn't really on my radar, but these overwhelmingly positive reviews, Jez Corden from Windows Central, Randolph Thor, both saying that it's absolutely fantastic. It's on my radar now. I'm definitely going to be paying close attention, see if I can fit it in somewhere.
I hope it's a surprise. I really hope it's a surprise. And like we were talking about those beforehand about politics in video games.
Yeah, that's definitely an impression I get from some of the disappointing reviews is that, spoiler alert, it's just another crazy cultist, and he's got his crazy cult followers, and it just happens to be taking place in America. It's really just a traditional Far Cry type villain. But
yeah, well, not even just that. Like in general, like when it comes to politics and games, I'm generally fine with it. I think if a game or a publisher or developer wants to push a certain narrative, that's totally fine. It's a different perspective. It's something enjoyable to watch, and I don't want to stifle someone's opinion on something, because if it's supposed to be a part of the game, let it be a part of the game. But at the same time, my largest issue is the reaction people have to politics in a game. So, like, for example, if it's politics media generally agrees with, they hype the game up to levels that it shouldn't be hyped up for necessarily. For example, Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein 2 is still Game of the Year last year for me. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, the gameplay was that good. Seriously, go pick it up. It's really that good. But, like, they didn't really do all that much in terms of politics, but it just happened to come out in the year. We're talking about Nazis in the United States and all this kind of stuff. It was a situation, and they kind of play into it, and they played into the marketing, or people were freaking out about it, and so they just kind of let it ride, and it benefited them in terms of their marketing. And so they let that ride, but they didn't hang their hat on, we're making a political stance here. That's not what they were doing. And people, like, I think some people in the media hyped it up a little too much on that level, and that's a problem. But at the end, you have a situation where, like, people don't agree with the politics, or they kind of read politics onto something that doesn't have any politics on it. For example, we were talking about Witcher 3 earlier, where Witcher 3, there's no politics on that. It's just a fantasy game set in what's supposed to be Poland. That's it.
Right.
And people went off about representation. There's not enough people of color in there. So they did the same thing for what's the other game that came out recently? Kingdom Come Deliverance. They did the same thing there. Although Kingdom Come was a little different scenario, but Witcher is the main one. And people read politics onto the situation. And that's and when a publisher is not deliberately putting politics onto something, and that's when I have a problem with people's reaction to it. It's like, okay, they're just trying to they're I don't want to say they're speaking their truth. It's not truth. This is fiction. This is games. But it's people just expressing their opinions or expressing themselves onto a game, and they're not making a political statement. Not everything is a giant political statement that needs to be analyzed.
Right.
It's
Some things just are what they are.
For example, I think a good balance of this is BioShock. Because BioShock 1 is an analysis on the Ayn Rand objectivism and of society that has rejected religion, a society that has rejected government.
Right. No gods, no kings.
No gods, no kings, only man. That is the motto of Rapture. They focus on one extreme, and they take that to a quote-unquote logical conclusion. But they take it to the end of its existence. But on the other hand, you have BioShock Infinite, which is a jingoistic, ultra-religious society where they take that to its ultimate evil ending. So it's a good balancing of like, they're not saying what they believe. They're just illustrating one point of view and creating a society and a world around it. And I think that's fine because it's its own self-contained world. And so that's kind of my perspective on it. So
yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I'd co-sign that overall.
So that's my general stuff on that. All right. So any other thoughts before we go on to the next topic?
No.
Not regarding this. Just I'll be keeping an eye on it. Hope it's as good as everyone's saying it is.
Yeah. So, it's going to be interesting. I want to see. So, anyway, moving on to the next topic for the evening, and probably our main discussion point this evening. Games as a service. This has come up fairly recently. This is a particular point that started really well. It's been going on for a little while this generation, but it's been ramping up a lot with the release of Sea of Thieves. So, Sam, why don't you take on this one real quick? I'll give her some backstory about where the GAAS claims are coming from and what's going on.
Sure. Well, I mean, what exact direction are we going with this in terms of just games as a service in general? Or are we focusing on Sea of Thieves just to make sure I understand 100%?
Oh, no. Well, okay, let's start with Sea of Thieves then, because that's where the whole thing started out.
Okay, so basically the topic raging in certain dark corners of Twitter right now is what's going on with Sea of Thieves in terms of launch content, and how does that affect games as a service games moving forward? On the one hand, because basically this is what the debate falls into, right? On the one hand, whether you love the game or you don't, at the end of the day, the general agreement is it needs more content. Now, the developers have clearly stated it will be getting free content on a very regular basis, an extremely regular basis with big expansions every 3 to 4 months if they can roll them out properly. But the problem is the game is still being sold for $60. However, it's also on Game Pass. So there's a lot of complicated different layers to this discussion that's really kicked off. Is it fair to review the game based off of where it's at right now? Or should we even be issuing a review score at all? Or is it no, you're charging customers X amount of dollars for this game at this particular time, so it still gets a review score, even though 6 months, 9 months down the road, it'll be a completely different game. Suffice to say, it's a very interesting discussion, and it's turned into a very rabid debate.
All right. So, this is a tough one because with games as a service, this ultimately, I think, is the future. This is something that I think is going to end up going forward. They're going to have two different types of games. And right now, we're in a bit of a battle of how that's going to be. Because I hate to say it, but the age of pay $60, get all the content, no microtransactions, it's coming to an end.
Right.
Like,
love it, hate it, somewhere in between, positive or negative. Yeah, it's coming to an end.
I mean, it's great when it does happen. Like, and people say, like, well, Witcher 3? Witcher 3 was great. I said, yeah, Witcher 3 was great. But that's not going to happen very often, if much at all anymore. And that's why people love CD Projekt Red. But at the same time, a lot of stuff I look at it as guys are going to, publishers in particular are going to be very fickle about it. And I see two main camps kind of splitting off here. On one hand, you got the GTA 5 crowd, where the base game launches, all post content is free, but they're going to have what's the term I'm looking for? All post content's going to be free, but they're going to have microtransactions to an extent. There's going to be something involved there where there's going to be reoccurring money coming into this project. But it may not be based on content per se. And so, like with GTA, they do it with shark cards, with buying games in the or buying money within the game. Now, on the other hand, you have the more Destiny MMO-like kind of style where it's you buy the game and then there's going to be seasons of content you got to continually buy into. And those can have microtransactions or not have microtransactions. It's really kind of up to you. So like these are games like Destiny, The Division, Rainbow Six Siege. Like this is generally how it's going to go. But like on the other hand, like with GTA 5, you have games like Halo 5, Gears 4. What's another game that gives all its content for free but has DLC?
That has DLC. You mean in terms of having microtransactions, but they give
microtransactions.
I know that's going to be the plan for Sea of Thieves. I mean,
Overwatch.
Overwatch is another. Yeah, Overwatch is another.
Yeah. And so I think a lot of it is there's a lot of different types of styles going on.
And the problem is
we're going to continue to see problems.
I think honestly the fact is no one's wrong per se. You know, people arguing, well, you can't just excuse something for not having content at launch. You're okay, you have a point. But people saying we're not in the same age anymore, games are going to evolve over time, you're also correct. And we got to find the balance here. At least that's my perspective.
There's also the whole debate that people have fallen into is what's enough content to justify $60?
Exactly. And this is, I'll give this little rant and then I don't want to cut you off, so I'll let it go back to you. I hate the idea that certain big YouTubers in particular have pushed that hours of enjoyment correlates directly to $60 or $40. I don't get that, and I don't like that. The fact is, a $60 game can be 10 hours or it can be 200 hours, but at the end of the day, it's the value in those hours, which is in itself a whole other subjective discussion. Anyways, that's my little tiny rant. I'll let it go back to you.
Well, pretty much along the same lines I was going to talk. So I've played some of my most enjoyable games. Have been really short games. An example, Hellblade was one of my favorite games last year, and actually my top 5 game of the years last year. There was What Remains of Edith Finch, Hellblade. I think Cuphead was in there. I can't remember off the top of my head the rest of them. But most of the games that are my game of the year list weren't like 40, 50-hour games. Most of them can be completed in, well, hell, What Remains of Edith Finch can be completed in, I think,
2 hours.
2 hours?
2 hours. You can 100% it in 2 hours and 30 minutes. I've timed it.
Okay. so you can 100% What Remains of Edith Finch in 2 hours and 30 minutes. That game is $20?
Well, I think the time was 30, I think.
Yeah, 30. I have a hard time correlating.
At the time it came out, I think.
Yeah, I have a hard time correlating prices because prices for me are different than prices for you guys. Yeah. So, but those 2 hours I spent with What Remains of Edith Finch were more enjoyable than some 50 hours that I've spent in some RPGs. So it's really hard to put a dollar value on content. There's certain expectations a game should meet and certain content that has to be there to justify a price value. Kind of along the lines of the game has to work properly. The servers have to be good.
Right.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 scenario, you can't have game mode breaking microtransaction DLC in a $60 game. You could do that in a free-to-play game if you want, I guess. I guess that's acceptable.
It's more acceptable. It's still not great.
Yeah, it's still not great. And there's just certain aspects that have to be met. And the thing with Sea of Thieves in particular, and something I've seen more because I follow a fair amount of people that are playing it, and I've read a good amount of reviews. It's interesting to see where you can tell exactly where in the content the reviewers stop playing versus where some other people are at. There's a fantastic guy I follow on Twitter, Fatal Mephisto. He's been playing the game nonstop. I think he's got like 50 plus hours in this game already. And He was talking about the variety of skeletons that you can fight. Like some you have to take out of the water because they're immune while they're in the water. The ones you need to hold your lantern up to fight this. Because the biggest complaint is there's no enemy variety. There's different varieties of skeletons that all come with different challenges. No, not a single review touched on the raids. Not a single review touched
because
on
they're
the
hard
raids.
as hell.
Because they're
Well,
hard.
that's not true. Windows Central review did, so I want to give a
Okay.
shout out to them.
Yeah,
They did mention.
Windows Central does have a tendency to do a much more in-depth review than some other sites. But I'm not.
Yeah.
I want to make it clear too for those that are listening. I'm not trying to perpetuate the Xbox media bias BS or anything else. I'm just simply stating not all games you can have a clear-cut impression of 10 hours into them. Some games require a lot more time to get into. And if you're not into the game during that time to get into them, there's nothing wrong with that. Because the 5 hours I played of Sea of Thieves solo was way different experience than when I played with Sam, Anchor, and Cal last night. It's a whole different experience. And it almost feels, it sounds stupid, but it feels like a different game when you play with other people versus when you play by yourself. And
Absolutely.
there's very few games I can say that, because I solo queue a good majority. Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, I'll solo queue that stuff all the time. I play in a party. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change how I feel about the game. But Sea of Thieves legitimately felt like a different game when you play with people versus solo. And that might appeal to different people, because I know some people enjoy playing solo more than they enjoy playing in a crew, and vice versa. It's just a really weird scenario. We've never really seen a game like this. So that's why I think there's so much variance on, is there enough content? Is there not enough content? There definitely needs to be more stuff going forward. They could have had some more side stuff to do. Like one of the big ones that I found that would have been interesting, fishing would have been a great addition. It sounds stupid, but it's not. It's little
ocean in it. I'm with Jez Corden on that 100%. I don't understand how fishing didn't make the final cut. I'll happily keep yelling that at Rare as well.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It's just like, it's piddly stuff you whine about in other games that Sea of Thieves doesn't have. And then when that stuff isn't in the game, you're like, it feels emptier. So I get where people are coming from in that aspect. It's really weird, because this is one of the first games where I'm seeing both sides of the argument, and I agree with both in a way. It's really confusing, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get what you're talking about, too, because I think what the plan is of this one is, because this is, love it or hate it, Sea of Thieves is going to be the poster child for Game Pass. Like, we know that's the truth. Like, what they're going to do with this game is they're going to, like, come out, like, every 2 weeks or something and say, hey, we're adding blank to the game. Like, okay, let's say they come out and they say, hey, we're adding fishing to the game. All of a sudden, everyone's like, fishing, hold up. I'm into that. Bella Rise will suddenly say, oh, wait a minute. Fishing, I'm in.
All of a sudden, she'll have 400 hours in it overnight.
And so, but then you had the people who didn't buy the game, who they waited, they bought the game, they got the Game Pass, they spent $10, and they played the game for maybe a week, and they're like, oh, I'm tired of this, there's not enough content. And then slowly but surely, they're like, hey, they just added fishing. Hey, they just added 10-man crews. Hey, they just added a new monster. Hey, they just added this. They just added that. Oh, no. And it starts piling up. It's like, okay, I'll get it again. And so then eventually they'll break down and say, like, okay, maybe I should just buy this game, because they're going to keep adding stuff to it. And I might as well just sit here and wait. And so that's what I think. Eventually, like, people who want to keep trying it, yeah, you got them on Games Pass, but it keeps people coming back for Game Pass.
And if people really want to complain about the content in this, anyone who's old school and in the PC market, if anyone ever wants your money wrangled from you for zero content, play MMO subscription-based games sometime.
Let's not even get into that, right?
Right, and
it's all about dangling it.
And that's the thing. It's like, I remember being a kid and I bought every World of Warcraft expansion, plus paid my subscription fee and everything else. And sometimes some of those expansions were lame. They barely added anything sometimes. And they were full-priced expansions. But now we've got it's I'm not going to say entitled gamer because it's not being entitled to want content for your dollar, because
it's a drastic shift. We are seeing a very drastic shift in the market, and some people don't necessarily like that. And the thing is, that's okay. I want to make it clear. We're trying to provide a balanced opinion here, but at the end of the day, it's the game's job to sell you, the customer, on it. Even as someone who's loving Sea of Thieves, and I truly am loving the foundation Rare has provided, I would still tell you, try it through Game Pass. If you love it after that, then either keep your subscription or buy it. If you don't, not a problem. It's perfectly fine. Because it's the game's job to sell you, the customer, on the content you're exchanging money for.
Exactly, and I agree with Anchor is that Microsoft is going to use Sea of Thieves to get Game Pass subscriptions up.
Absolutely.
Because every time, whenever they do one of these major expansions, people that hate it are like, well, maybe I'll like it this time. Yeah, I'll give it a shot again, see what happens. They get $10 out of it. And
perfect really example.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, dude. I cut you off.
What I was going to say is, and what's really interesting to watch is Sea of Thieves is the first game that I've seen, because when you have $60 games on social media, people will just talk garbage about games if it's not on the preferred console endlessly. And they won't buy the game because it's $60. But everybody I know went and gave Microsoft $10 so they could rag on Sea of Thieves on social media. Meanwhile, they just ended up paying into the pocket they don't want to pay into. It's just, it's irony at its finest, and Microsoft has done a fantastic job of, I'm not going to say tricking people out of their money, but incessantly...
The people who are getting up in their feelings, they're playing them too.
Oh yeah, well, 100%. They're taking someone and being like, "Hey, here's $10 to try out a game," and people are like, "Well, I'm only gonna subscribe for this month to play this game." It's like, fine, you weren't gonna buy that anyway, so you still gave us $10 for it. It's a win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that plays into the greater discussion we've had. I think all three of us have had this on other shows and here before as well, with Microsoft dropping a game every 2 months. Moving forward, I think we all agree that's the ideal for Game Pass, is some sort of big exclusive every 2 months, because you want people to continually come back, because you wrangle in all those people who wouldn't have ever bought those games.
That's right. I mean, that's the big thing about it, honestly. It's just such a weird little thing to me that everyone's so up in arms about it. And I really want to sit back and just kind of wait and see how Sea of Thieves turns out, because I'm pretty sure that they're going to be dripping out content, but it's just kind of how things are right now. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting on things. So, all right.
Yeah.
So, other topic for the evening, Hellblade. Hellblade is making its way to Xbox, and I actually I actually already have it installed now.
Same.
Oddly enough.
Nice.
So yeah, I grabbed that off the store day one. I was like, whoop.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, it's pretty dope.
I mean, the fact that, I don't think the word exclusive, please correct me if I'm wrong, was the word exclusive ever used officially in this game? I don't mean fanboy list wars, because we all know the certain people out there who put it into their list and then have conveniently dropped it and deleted those tweets and suddenly don't care and are happy that others get it. We're not talking about them. This was never really called an exclusive. It was just a situation of, hey, we've got a limited staff, limited budget. We're going to develop for a couple of platforms. And then once we've recouped our development cost, we'll move on to the others as well.
Now, I was going to say, Ninja Theory was crystal clear, at least in their development notes, that they were bringing it to the most popular console and PC, because developing for PC is easy.
Right.
Well, not easy, but easier.
Standard.
The standard. Developing for the most popular console, which is the PS4 and PC, and then other platforms at a later date. And it's a year later. The game's had a whole year to sell through. Now they're going to bring it to Xbox. I don't know. I've seen weirder things. Maybe this game will come to the Nintendo Switch. Be a weird addition to the Nintendo Switch, but...
maybe. I have trouble believing. It already doesn't run in terms of performance or resolution that well on the base PS4. So I have trouble believing it would run well on the Switch, but who knows? Ark is coming to the Switch, so God only knows what the limit is now.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what Wolfenstein 2 looks like on the Switch too. So
true that. Jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you picked it up on PS4 already, congrats. I'd still recommend picking it up here. If you didn't pick it up, if you're an Xbox only gamer, I would highly recommend it. You can get it for $27 if you pre-order or you purchase in the first week. It's the 6 to 8 hour game. It is a very unique type of single player game. Presents a very interesting take on mental illness that treats it with absolute respect. They had psychologists consulting the team and working with them when they were implementing the effects of psychosis and hallucinations and things like that into it. So it's well worth checking out. It's well worth supporting.
Interesting.
And
I just realized?
What?
Dolby Atmos.
That's what I was just going to say.
Jeez.
Yeah, super sampled 4K, HDR enabled, and Dolby Atmos.
And you get 3 visual modes. Actually, you can prioritize frame rate, you can prioritize resolution, or you can prioritize other visual effects.
Ooh.
I don't know for this one. Like, how important is frame rate for this one, though? That's the question. Like, did it really have issues chugging along?
The frame rate is unlocked on all 3. The frame rate is unlocked on the base PS4. It's just the frame rate mode, I presume, gets it to like a 100% locked 60. But it's already going to be 60 frames per second on the X most of the time.
I never noticed, like, I have the PS4 Slim. When I played through it, I didn't notice any, like, frame rate. Like, there was, like, the occasional jump or two, but it was pretty consistent all the way through for the most part. The only time I ever had any frame drops in Hellblade was during some of the puzzles.
Yeah. But I mean, if you've got an X, obviously it should run fantastic, whichever mode you choose. And it looks gorgeous too.
Even if you have an S or just a standard Xbox, this game looks insane. And I highly recommend picking that up because we've heard this constant cry on social media for the past month to 2 months that Xbox needs more adult-based content games. So go out, buy Hellblade.
Yeah, for sure.
Support Ninja Theory because that studio did something amazing with that game that I don't think any other studio has done this generation.
Does anyone else find it mildly amusing that this is dropping not exactly 6 months? It's not like there was a deal in place, right? So they brought this game over when they could. Once they recouped their development costs, we already established that. Does anyone else find it amusing that this drops on April 11th? Just a week and some change before God of War?
Hey, Xbox only guys get a chance to play a single player game they can talk about while everyone else, all the PS4 guys are talking God of War. It's not bad.
Yeah. It's not bad.
I'm still trying to figure out why they're releasing Yakuza 3 days before God of War, though.
I don't understand.
Wait, hold on. Which Yakuza? Is this one of the remakes or one of the new ones?
No, 6. This is the newest entry. It's the finale to the series, is my understanding.
Yeah, it's the finale for the series. They're releasing it April 17th. God of War is April 20th.
Wow. And I thought it was the 22nd.
They delayed Yakuza 6 too because it was supposed to come out sooner than that, and then they delayed it to just before God of War.
I might delay that again.
If
I were in charge, we're having a delay, boys. we don't want a bloodbath.
2 single-player games, both PS4 exclusives. One's a fairly niche franchise. The other is having the absolute bejesus marketed out of it.
I know, Yakuza's got all that marketing, dude.
Oh, dude, seriously. Cup noodle deals.
See, I'm one of those weird people. I had Yakuza 6 already paid off and pre-ordered. So it being right by God of War isn't that big of an issue for me. But for people that buy games just on the seat of their pants, they're 9 times out of 10, most people are going to go God of War. Especially since all the...
I think you say that, but we're forgetting Yakuza's bigger in Japan. And I have a feeling that God of War ain't going to do too hot in Japan.
I suppose there is the argument that if you're a Yakuza fan, you're a Yakuza fan, right?
Well, yeah, like
Yeah.
Demigod in the chat just said, Yakuza 6 over God of War every day. So, like, there you go. There are people. I can debate their taste in games,
There are weird people out there. Yeah. 1 second. Check out the chat here. See what we got going on. Oh, yeah, pretty good turnout. Everyone's showing up. All right, good stuff, man.
Everyone shows up to chat. Only half show up to the cast. That's how it works.
That's how we got to do. We got to sacrifice some people to get the chat flowing. All right. We see Next Level Gaming's in here. All right. So, yeah, good people in here. All right. Got regular chicken spaghetti, Ed Torres, irrelevant native. All right, good people in here. So, anything else you guys want to talk about before we head out here? I got some time.
Trying to think if there's anything else that's really going on this week.
I remember. Story time. So we were playing Sea of Thieves last night. So the Multiverse crew here, we're a well-oiled machine. We know what we're doing. We're pretty good at this. We figured this stuff out by now. So we had a traitor in our midst. Cal said, "I can't do this. The Cal Luffy team is just horrible. We can't. We have no synergy. We're just horrible. I want to play with a real team. I want to play with a real crew." And so we had the CEO, KYX Kal-El, show up on our squad. So we're playing Sea of Thieves last night, and where we were at, we were like not Crook's Hollow. It was Thieves Haven. We were at Thieves Haven, and we were doing one of our missions, and we're off the port bow there. We see Undead says there's a galleon up ahead. So I'm real worried. And so we're like, we got this. And so let's see what they're doing. And so it's like, I think they're parked. And Cal's like, no, we got to avoid them. We got to avoid them. We need more cannonballs. And we're like, we got like 100 cannonballs. He's like, no,
you need 300. You need 300
cannonballs. 400. We need 400. You use 400 in the average fight with another ship.
And we're just sitting here like, what? Like, we've sunk ships with like 20, maybe 30. Like, this is not that hard. Like, like 400 cannonballs. How many cannonballs? Like, I'm prepared for multiple fights. Like, there's only one ship. Like, that's it. Like, and so it's like, all right, well, watch this. So I go up to the crow's nest and grab one of our gunpowder barrels. And so I put the clip up on Twitter so you guys can watch it yourselves. So we're sitting there, and we're like, all right, let's do this. And so Cal's just getting by. Okay, just get me close enough. Just get me close enough. And so I'm up in the crow's nest, so I jump off, and I see a sniper glare. I'm like, oh, no. So I fall into the water, and I swim under their boat all the way to the starboard side and climb up the ladder slowly. I get up there, and they're getting ready to go. They're jumping around, running around the place. I'm like, oh, no. So I sneak on board, and I just barely am missing people. Like, they don't see me, and I'm just like sneaking on through their cabin. And so I'm like, okay. And so I drop down from the poop deck there over to the second level. And so I just missed a guy. I came off the corner of his eye. He didn't see me. He just ran on ahead. So I went on through. I went down to the bottom level. So I go and plant the gunpowder barrel at the front of the bottom of their ship. I go pull out my pistol and I shoot it and it explodes. And so then the water starts pouring in. So I'm coming up. They're like, oh no, what's going on? What's going on? And so they got one guy's coming down. He's got a banana, and he's trying to get more bananas so he can survive. So he's going to the barrel to go grab one. I come through with my sword and I slash him up and he dies. And so I go over there and I see people on the deck, and then like one guy who's firing cannons at us. You guys are sailing away. I'm like, all right. So I go over here and I hit him with a bullet, and he jumps back a little bit. So he starts slashing at me. So I jump off, heal up with some of the bananas I stole, and I see the ship come down. I felt like such a badass. It was like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. And then right after that, the two guys who came up, I killed both of them. I waited to be picked up on the island. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun.
That was. See, that's what we mean by the emergent experiences Sea of Thieves is really providing. I mean, I know people say, oh, you play anything with your friends that makes it better, but honestly, very few, if any, games have really provided those types of opportunities for ultimate shenanigans, the way Sea of Thieves has, at least over the last few days.
Yeah. See, this is also the thing too. When you have these more open-ended games like Minecraft, PUBG, Sea of Thieves, you open it up so people can make their own experiences out of something. Like, that's not to say it's a bad thing to have a heavily scripted game, but when you do have a heavily scripted game, it eliminates some of the chaos that can happen that creates memorable experiences. Like, okay, every time we've got a chicken dinner, I'm sure everybody here remembers when they got the chicken dinner. Like, they remember scenarios, they remember where people were, they remember like what we were talking about right beforehand. Like, you remember aspects of getting the chicken dinner in like the tension, the build up.
Yeah.
Like, the one time you do it, it's like, oh great, that was awesome. And that's kind of it. And I think a good example of a game that does do it heavily scripted and is still fun and allows for that emergent behavior is GTA 5 Heists. Like, they allow a little bit of leniency, not a lot, but there's still like there's big moments and you can enjoy them. But like it's not the same as playing PUBG or Sea of Thieves and remembering like, oh man, you remember when you shot me out of that cannon and you smacked me up against the wall.
Or that time the Cal overshot the island by about, I don't know, 400 meters and I had to spend 3 minutes swimming. Yeah, good times. Or I'm like, hey, there's a chest on that rock. Shoot me at the rock. Nope, right off the cliff face. Right off the cliff face.
That was hilarious.
Just like a little stuff like that, or like, okay, you guys sail around the island, shoot me out, and like I go and find the chest and you guys pick me up, and watching that drift. Like that, I was like, whoa! Like you guys, when I picked up the chest, I was waiting for you guys to get picked up. I think it was still in Thieves Haven at the time, and you guys are sailing around, and like you guys are coming straight for the island. Like, oh no, and you guys drop that anchor at that right point, and the boat just swerves around, missing the sandbar, and I didn't even have to really get that wet beyond my ankles. I was like, wow, that was awesome. And just like it's little stuff like that that's just. It's hilarious, and it allows for that emergent behavior, emergent gameplay, and for memories to be made. Like Minecraft was that game not most of us on the 360 era. Minecraft allowed for that freedom for you to have really memorable stuff and just playing random things, and that's what's so fun about it. It's open ended, and by the same time, it's like then you have issues of content, and people get mad, and here we are again. So,
especially because it's like, and I say this as someone who acknowledges Sea of Thieves needs more content. What's more? What's the standard? What do we hold it to anymore? You know, is there a defined, you need X amount of this and X amount of that? Like, I don't know. I agree it needs more. It needs more everything. I want more of this world. I want more lore. I want more stuff to do. But you're never going to find two people who agree on what that definition is. Ever.
Yeah. So, anything else before we start heading out here? What do you guys want to talk about?
I'm groovy.
It'll be interesting to see what the sales look like because right now it's doing fantastic.
Yeah, we heard it topped the charts on the UK.
They topped the charts in the UK. It's the top selling game in the Xbox store and the Windows 10 store right now. So obviously it's still week one, but it's a good sign for sure.
It wasn't there also another thing there too? Because I was reading people try to rebuff that, saying, "Oh no, that's actually not that good." Saying, if you look at it, Mass Effect Andromeda outsold all of the games that came out this month or this week, combined.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because Sea of Thieves,
which is true.
But Sea of Thieves is the top-selling game in the UK, sitting at I think the projected number was 23,000 in the UK.
And it's just physical.
Yeah,
that's
that's just physical. Yes, important to recognize that the UK charts, the weekly charts, I think they're the PAL charts, don't track digital at all. That is just physical retail copies.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though. It's just physical. Plus, it's only on 2 platforms. One platform that doesn't even have physical, and one platform that does. So
exactly.
these are basically just Xbox sales.
Just
And
Xbox physical sales. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically just Xbox physical sales that they're tracking here. The fact to beat out every other game is pretty good. And there's like, well, what about Mass Effect Andromeda? Yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda that launched on PlayStation and Xbox. It is a
PC,
big game.
and had the frickin' Mass Effect name attached to it, and the amount of hype before the reviews came in was stellar.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember being one of the people. I'll hold my hand up. I'll hold my L. I remember being one of the people saying, yeah, it's going to be awesome with Game of the Year discussions because we've already got one right here. Yeah, I'm going to just shove my foot in my mouth right now.
I remember that. I actually went through the process of playing all the Mass Effect games before the game came out. Just to build up and say, okay, I'm going to play Mass Effect so I can enjoy this.
Mm-hmm.
And like I liked
Andromeda
Andromeda
because I knew Andromeda wasn't going to be worth it. I knew it was going to be bad.
Well, I wish you'd shared that info, Nostradamus. The only person I ever remember saying that Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't going to be good was Colin Moriarty. And he got shouted down anytime the discussion came up.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll have to check my receipts. I'm pretty sure on Multiverse show I was the only one on the panel saying that Andromeda was going to be trash. And I predicted because of the team that was working on it, because it wasn't the main team working on it. I said, oh, it's going to be bad. And people are like, no, they wouldn't put incompetent, unexperienced people on a Mass Effect game. I'm like,
narrator. But they did.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. So we're going to wrap things up for the show tonight. It's been a blast only having you 3 people here. So, I mean, I think
we've really found the soul of the show. I really do.
Now, we see, you have to understand that the Multiverse crew is like a fine steak dinner. You got a steak, you got your baked potato, and you got your salad. 3 of us have baked potato, salad, and steak. And then you got a little extra. Like, okay, you got putting the mushrooms on the steak. That's like Mike. Mike's the mushroom on the steak. add that little flair, add that little seasoning to it, like, and James is like the nice dressing on the salad. Just brings out the flavor. Just makes everything go creamy and smooth.
Those artistic subtleties that you wouldn't have picked up on before.
Yeah. And Undead's like the sour cream and butter on that potato.
You got the sour right. You better include Fame because you left him out of the one thumbnail. So you better bring up Fame at some point.
Hey, Fame's the potato.
We lack the potato tonight.
Fame's the potato because that's how his internet acts when Google doesn't like him.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. All right, guys. So, thank you guys for coming out. We do appreciate it. We'll do our outros real quick. Start with Sam. Where can good people find you at?
So if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at Samuel Tolbert. That's TOLBERT. You can also find me on TICGN.com, where I'm writing reviews, opinion pieces, news, and pretty much anything and everything else.
All right. Undead?
Everyone can find me on Twitter at Undead3XVI. You can follow me on YouTube as well, Undead3XVI. Gonna start churning out some content there once my Elgato shows up this week. And you can find news, opinion pieces, everything on TickGN.com. I'm in charge of the Far Cry 5 review, which will hopefully be up at the end of the week once I get enough time with that. And also have the Duke controller review that'll be coming once that releases as well.
All right. Sounds pretty dope. All right, I'm Anchorman V2. You guys can find me pretty much everywhere at Anchorman V2. So, all right, guys. thank you guys for showing up. We do appreciate everyone turning out. But really, you guys have been absolutely excellent. So, I would answer Demigod's question, least favorite Fallout.
If you say Skyrim, I'm slapping you.
Skyrim, Fallout with magic. So, that's a tough one, dude. Out of the Bethesda line, probably Fallout 3. Fallout 3 was good, but it's not as good as New Vegas. It's not as good as 4.
Combat hasn't aged well either.
Oh,
yeah.
really hasn't.
God, no. God, no.
It looks good now due to the X enhancement. Actually, it cleans up nicely.
It does look good, but I just can't do that gameplay, dude. That's rough.
Clunky. It's really clunky.
New Vegas is pushing it. But anyway,
we got one more
guys.
question.
What we got?
So TFX God, he's a regular, says, do you guys think Halo and Gears could use a break and give Coalition and 343 reign to make new IP?
Yep. That's an easy yes. I'm with it.
I'm up for that. Dope.
I'm down. I think definitely of the two, the Coalition more than 343. But
yeah, for sure.
But both of them could definitely take a break, work on something else,
or have multiple teams working on different things. That wouldn't be a bad option either.
Wouldn't hurt. Anyway, guys, we're wrapping things up here. Thank you guys for turning out. This has been the Multiverse Show, episode 89. And yes, remember, Elder Scrolls is coming out this year. See you guys later.